This is part 5 in my series of safety videos. This one is LiveWire in the Canyons, a beginner's guide to riding the LiveWire ONE in the canyons in Southern California. Now, in my first video, safety video number 1, I put in there references for books, YouTube channels, and websites you can go to find out about how to ride a motorcycle, and even specifically how to ride a motorcycle in the canyons. So this video is going to be different because we're talking about the LiveWire motorcycle and things that are specifically different about it when you're riding it in the canyons, and also we're going to be talking in this case about Southern California canyons. Now, Southern California canyons are thousands of miles of highways, divided by a double yellow line, and there's basically no speed enforcement in most places. The speeds go from 45 to 110 miles an hour. 110 miles an hour, speeds over 100 miles an hour probably in canyons like Angel's Crest Highway, under 100 miles an hour in canyons like Azusa Canyon, Route 39, but just all kinds of speeds, usually higher speeds, and like I say, thousands of miles of riding, more than I think anywhere else in the world really. There are several motorcycle fatalities every weekend. There's dozens of accidents. There's helicopters from the Los Angeles and San Diego counties going back and forth, taking riders off the mountain all the time to the trauma centers. It's a very dangerous thing to do, and we want to make sure that that you're as safe as you can be, or that you can reduce risk on your LiveWire. So I'm going to go over 3 important steps to keep you safe on the LiveWire. The first thing you have to do is minimize your interaction with other motorcycles. Now, an interaction I refer to as if there is another motorcycle in sight, it's an interaction. So you need to stay away from all other bikes, period. And the reason is they're going to push you. You might try and chase them. You're not going to be able to ride your own ride. You might do target fixation. It's just a bad situation. So when you're learning to ride in the canyons, you do it by yourself. You stay away from other motorcycles. Now, the way you do that is, if you have to ride on the weekend, you ride early in the morning when the sun comes up till about maybe 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning when all the other motorcycles show up. So if you're there early on most of the canyons, like Sunrise, you can ride around and have a good time riding in the canyon and learning without having a lot of other motorcycle traffic out there. Now, if you can ride during the week, that's great. If you have a certain day you can take off work or something like that, during the week there's very few motorcycles racing around in the canyon. The next thing you have to do, the second thing, is do not run wide in the corners. Now, if you go around a corner and you cross that yellow line, or you even come close to crossing it, you're done for the day. You're obviously not ready to be there. You're going too fast. You're riding beyond your limits. So until you can go around the canyons without going over the line 100% of the time, you just shouldn't be out there. And what you want to do is keep in mind part 3, the third thing, is the canyons are not a racetrack. So the way you want to look at it, and the way that I've always looked at it over the decades I've been riding the canyons, is it's precision riding. So what the mission is to go out there and put the motorcycle exactly where you want it, exactly in the right place every time going around the corners. You want to be to the inch. You want to have that motorcycle doing exactly what you want it to do. If you can't do that, you need to slow down. You need to practice more. You need to increase speed gradually, making sure you always have complete control of the motorcycle all the time. Now, the LiveWire is a very good canyon motorcycle for several reasons. First of all, the weight distribution and the balance and the rake, the trail, everything is just perfect. I think the frame and the basic layout of the bike was done by Vance Strader at Harley Davidson. He was at Buell with Eric Buell working on one of the bikes he did the frame on was the XB9R Buell. So this is a motorcycle designed by a guy who knows how to make motorcycles that handle. Let me put it that way. But there's another very important feature on the LiveWire. It's called a 6-axis IMU. It's made by Bosch. Bosch has the technology that everybody's using to do this. Now, it was first found or first put on the 2015 Yamaha R1M. That's the first time I ever saw it or heard of it. It was later after that it came out on some of the KTM 1290 Super Dukes, some of the other bikes. The first bike I ever rode with it was the Kawasaki ZH2 has it, but what it does is it uses I guess gyroscopes inside that little box to control the motorcycle on every single axis. So when you're turning the throttle and putting on the brakes and moving around on the bike, that thing is controlling everything and keeping track of everything to make sure that you don't crash. Now, in a regular motorcycle, when you go into the corner and you apply the brakes, so if you're in the corner and you apply the brakes, the motorcycle is going to try and stand up, okay? It's just physics. It's going to try and stand up. So you have to, apply pressure the other way and keep pushing the motorcycle down so you don't go wide in the corner. That's on a regular motorcycle. The Bosch IMU, 6-axis IMU, takes care of that. And when you put on the brakes in the corner, I'm not sure how it does it, but it somehow spreads out the braking between the front and back tire, and the bike does not stand up when you put on the brakes in the corner. It just stops without doing anything funny. Likewise, if you're in a corner and you slam on the brakes too hard, usually the motorcycle either falls down or throws you over the top. I mean, it's just a terrible thing. The 6-axis IMU prevents that as well. So you can be in a corner, slam on the brakes, and the bike will behave itself and not fall down. And then, of course, it's also got the regular traction control to keep the wheel from spinning coming out of a corner if you're accelerating hard. And then the wheelie control is also part of this thing to keep the front wheel on the ground so you can always steer the motorcycle. Now, I couldn't find a good example of a LiveWire coming close to losing control and the Bosch IMU saving the bike, okay? But I did find an example of a BMW, I guess it's called an S1000RR, which has a 6-axis IMU. It's being ridden by Max Rist, who is not a very good rider. He's kind of a YouTube showman, but he gets into a corner too hot. The IMU saves his bacon, and then the rider behind him does not have an IMU. You can see him put on the brakes in the corner and crash. So I'll come back right after we watch this video. Okay, the bike in the back has a 6-axis IMU. It's a BMW S1000RR. He's going to go by this bike. He's going to be coming too fast into a turn and lose control. So there's the right turn. He's going too fast. The bike jumps around. The IMU saves him by modulating the brakes and taking care of everything. Now the bike in the back does not have an IMU. And there it is. He puts on the brakes in the turn. The bike high sides him, throws him in front of a car. So let's see that again in slow motion. This is what would happen to the LiveWire if it did not have a 6-axis IMU. He's in the corner, puts on the brakes. Look at that. The bike jumps around, throws the rider over the top, down on the ground. Now there is a current LiveWire owner in Malibu who did this on his Ducati before he bought his LiveWire. And this is easy to do if you're in a corner on a regular motorcycle and you hit the brakes too hard. The bike either throws you over the top or low sides. In closing, I just want to say that in my opinion, the LiveWire is the best canyon bike. The reason being, it's got a 6-axis IMU, instant torque, no shifting, fast steering, premium suspension and brakes, low weight distribution, excellent tires traction, very quiet, does not attract attention or bother other people in the canyons, and it's environmentally friendly. Now, my second favorite bike in the canyon is a Ducati Street Fighter, but the problem with the Street Fighter is the gearing is high. You can't get it out of second gear until you're going way over 100 miles an hour. If you tried to ride it at lower RPM, say under 7,000 or 8,000 RPM, it's got throttle lag as compared to something like a LiveWire. So for speeds, 100 miles an hour and under, the LiveWire's always got more power, more torque. It's always right there, handles fast, 6-axis IMU, the whole thing. The Ducati, when you run it at the higher revs, it's jerky. It's not really made for canyon riding, it's made for track days. So if you put around at lower RPM on the Street Fighter, it works great, but then you've got throttle lag and you haven't got the instant power that you got on the LiveWire. So when I have both bikes in the garage, I'm going to go ride Azusa Canyon, I take the LiveWire first. I mean, that's my first choice of bike. So anyway, hope you've enjoyed the video. Be very safe out there, take it slow. Canyon riding's a lot of fun, but you want to do it in such a way that you'll be doing it for a long time. Have a great evening.